Right. We are live with our first podcast for the Rules of Gambling podcast. We're breaking down NFL week to week. Starting our preseason here. We're going to break down today the NFC South and the NFC West, and kind of go over some lines for the season and kind of see where we think the teams are at and where they're stacked. So my name is Ricky Simmons. I'm the Gambling Man. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I'm Chris Romrell. I'm that other guy.
Ryan Christensen, statistician.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started on Atlanta Falcons. They are ranked the highest in the division. So let's go ahead. Why don't you start us off, Ryan? Run us down there.
Okay, so Ricky, I don't have it up. What's their line here? What's their over/under on wins?
I think it's 10.5. Let me pull it up.
10.5. Sorry, I was looking for that as well. Well, let me just run through here their week. What I want to do here is go through their weeks real quick, and I think that they're going to win over 10.5 games. Why? Because they're going to go at absolute worst 7-1 at home, most likely 8-0, and so all they have to go is go 3-5, 4-4, and then get to 11 wins. So if I were to be a gambling man like you, Mr. Simmons, I would absolutely take the over on 10.5 wins.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, sorry, it's actually 10,
And I will take the over.
and last year they only got 9.
I will take the over.
What about you, Chris? How do you feel about the Atlanta Falcons?
I think that they are easily the best team in the division. Having Sean Payton come back boosts the Saints a little bit, but I just don't see that there's any other team that can really stand up to them. Panthers are just all over the place. Cam Newton doesn't seem to be able to win games, even though he puts up numbers. And Tampa Bay with Darrelle Revis doesn't really. I don't know. I mean, maybe Tampa Bay could pull something together with Freeman and Vincent Jackson. They seem to do pretty well together, but overall, I just don't see anyone challenging the Falcons in that division. I'd take the over probably.
What do you guys think about Steven Jackson? Do you really think that he's got what it takes to fill that role?
Absolutely.
I think he's 1,000 times better than Michael Turner, and it's interesting because Michael Turner was really, really bad, but the Falcons run so much within the 5-yard line that he did pretty well last year. And Steven Jackson has been like the only option in St. Louis for how many years, and with terrible offensive lines with no other weapons around him, and he still puts up pretty decent numbers. And so I think Steven Jackson's going to be one of the most interesting players to see how he translates from basically main role with the Rams into kind of I don't know if it's going to be a backup role because they throw so much now with Matt Ryan and Roddy White and Julio Jones, but it'll be interesting to see what Jackson does, but I think he's going to do really good.
I think he's going to be fantastic due to the fact that he's going from a system where he was given the ball and everyone was trying to kill him because they knew that St. Louis couldn't throw the ball. And that now he's going to a system where they're going to throw it and they can just give it to him on the goal line. They can give it to him to get first downs. He's going to be effective. I don't know if he's going to be like an 1,200 yard rusher, but he's going to be very effective to the point that people have to respect what he's going to do on short yardage, which means they're going to get first downs on the short yard plays by being able to, throw the short passes as well. I think he's going to go a lot further than what Michael Turner could. And I'm sorry, I have to go back to something. How many wins did they have last year, Mr. Simmons?
9.
Yeah, 13-3.
All right.
A little bit different than 9. Last year they won 13 games. This year, yeah, they won 13.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was looking at
You're
the
okay.
wrong line. You're right. 13.
You're fine. They won 13 games last year, made it to the NFC Championship game, have Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Roddy White. It doesn't matter what their defense does. I mean, if I just went through their thing real quick, they'll lose their first game at New Orleans, and then they have to beat St. Louis, Miami, New England at home when New England's still trying to figure themselves out, New York Jets, Tampa Bay. They're going to go on and win like 8 straight games at one point. Yeah, over 10.5 for sure.
I think the only things I'm caught up on there is, I mean, they are replacing their center and they are replacing the right tackle this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that strong offensive line may not be as strong as we would like it to be for Jackson behind them. They have some interesting rookies coming in, but we'll see how they go. Let's go on to the New Orleans Saints, and that seemed like a the only team that we've said that would challenge the Atlanta Falcons. Their line for this year is 9 wins. Last year they did 7, but they are getting Sean Payton back. So let's start off that. Why don't you start, Chris?
9 wins. I don't know. I see them going like 8-8 or something. I haven't looked much at their schedule, how it works out, which games they have early on in the season. I think if they lose a few games early, I think it could kind of steamroll on them. I love Drew Brees a lot, but I don't know. He always puts up tons of numbers, and with Sean Payton back, he's always done really well ever since they've been down there together. So I don't know. I'd probably say they win 9 games. So don't ask me to bet.
So it's at 9. Is that the line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a push. They're going to go 9-7.
Well, I mean, look at the freaking defense on that team. They got nothing, and they got Rob Ryan coming in, and I have no confidence in that guy at all.
He had that wonderfully, highly ranked defense in Cleveland. I believe at number 22 when the Cowboys hired him, and then he came to the Cowboys, and we really did some good stuff the last couple of years. 8-8.
Cowboys, I think their defense was, compared to how bad it was the year before, I think he did a pretty good job considering that like 12 of their 11 starters got injured last year. It seems like everyone on it just seems like everyone on defense got injured last year, and so I think it's.
Does that mean Rob Ryan was injured? Is he the 12th man that got injured?
Sprained his ankle running down the sideline, probably.
Yeah, you assume he runs. Have you seen that man? He doesn't run anywhere.
Hobble.
Now, I just want to point out that Rob Ryan has never had a team with a winning record
Oh my God.
while he's been a defensive coordinator. So just throwing that out. So 9 wins would be a winning record for him.
Push.
I think
It's a push.
I think the Saints are still going to suffer this year. I think they're under a curse now.
So you think they're going under 9?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the over on Atlanta. I'm going to push on New Orleans. I'm not going to bet there. Forget that. 9-7.
If you twisted my arm, I'd probably take the under on him, because I did. Yeah, I don't see him going over for sure, and yeah.
Okay. What about the Tampa Bay? This is my the underdog team for this division. I think that I think if any team can just surprise more than anybody else, is Tampa Bay this year. What are you guys' thoughts?
I feel like they're going to underachieve. I don't feel like Josh Freeman is ever going to really pull his head out and be the quarterback that they need to be able to win. They've got some decent corners, but Darrelle Revis is going to be the center point of their defense, and he's probably either going to A, fall off and not be as good, or B, get injured. So I just don't think that whereas their expectations should be that they are going to perform and do better, I think they're actually going to have a down year. What's their line on the wins?
7.5.
7.5. I'd probably take the under on that.
And last year they had 7 wins.
Yeah, I do really like Doug Martin a lot. I think they've got a pretty decent offense, but like you said, Josh Freeman just been so. Every year it's his breakout year, apparently, and he has good games here and there, but he never seems to be able to string wins together. And they had was it 2 seasons ago, where they had like 10 wins and barely missed out on a wild card spot or something like that.
They went 10-6, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd probably take the over. I see them winning 8 or 9 games and barely missing the playoffs.
Well, now all 3 of these teams can't win that many games. So, all right, finishing up the NFC South, let's go to the Carolina Panthers. They're another 7.5 flying team.
I think that we're going to have like a 12-4 or 13-3 Atlanta team, and the rest of them, New Orleans 9-7, maybe a 6-10 for them, and 7-9 at best. So I would take the under for Carolina. I just don't think that Cam Newton is the type of leader that can win games without cheating in college, and therefore everyone cheats in the NFL with drugs, or they level the playing field with money, whatever it is. He no longer has the advantage that he had in college. So 7-9 at best, maybe 6-10, but yeah, they're just going to kind of be a middling team. They'll surprise and beat a couple teams maybe that they shouldn't, but they'll also lose a couple of games that maybe they should win.
Yeah, I see them being that. I don't even see them getting 6 wins. I see like 3, 4. Their defense isn't great. Their running back situation is just weird. They gave Williams a lot of money, and then like, okay, well, Jonathan Stewart's still going to be taking as many carries as you, and it just seems, I don't know. I love Steve Smith because he played at the U, but yeah, I just don't see them doing anything. And
I mean, they just really haven't changed a lot. I just don't see them doing a lot more stuff. I mean, last year they were 7 wins. I think that they'll probably end about the same way. I mean, Cam Newton has a way of just creating weird endings to games. I mean, he's the backdoor cover miracle guy. So, um,
If you look at the end of their schedule, though, look, they go at Miami, home against Tampa Bay, then at New Orleans, New York Giants, home against New Orleans, then at Atlanta. You look at those last games, and they'll be lucky to get 2 wins out of that. You take a look at the first bit of the schedule, same thing. They have to go to Seattle to start. I'm sorry, they start at home against Seattle. Then they go to Buffalo. They have the Jets. Then they have a bye. But then they have to travel. Arizona, at Minnesota, St. Louis.
no, Arizona's not a game that they would win that game.
Let me tell you about Carson Palmer. All right, when we get around to the NFC West, I'm taking the over on Arizona. I don't know what Arizona's line is right now, but I want the over. Give it to me.
We're stopping on Carolina Panthers, right? So that was the NFC South. Let's why don't we just go up this time on the NFC West instead of going down? Let's go. We'll start with the Arizona Cardinals. Why do you start talking about them? Why you love them so much, Ryan?
5-11? Is that what they really were at last year? My gosh.
And their line this year is 5.5.
5.5? Oh my gosh. Over all day. Let me pull up their schedule here and look at it. I just think, if I were a fantasy football player and I enjoyed that, I would probably overpay for Larry Fitzgerald in an auction draft or draft him like in the second round because Carson Palmer sucks in that he throws a lot of interceptions. But Carson Palmer is awesome in that he always throws over 4,000 yards and can get the ball down the field. And you throw anything near that man, Larry Fitzgerald, and they're going to catch it. They're going to have Rashard Mendenhall splitting with Ryan Williams in the backfield. Between those two, they're going to have a nice way to be able to get some power running with Mendenhall, but then do some quick screens, some quick outs with Williams to get him out on the outside, use his speed. You've got, Larry Fitzgerald, as we've discussed, is a phenomenal player, and their defense hasn't been bad the last couple of years. So I actually think they're going to overperform and definitely do a lot better than the 5.5 wins. I put them probably at like a 7-9, a little bit surprising coming out of that division.
I say that my number one rule for gambling, besides betting against a rookie in his first game, is if Carson Palmer, if you can bet against Carson Palmer playing the week after he's played his last game, then you always bet it.
Why do you say that?
Meaning he's absolutely horrible, and he will throw. I mean, oh man, when you get him into a game with who was the interception king in Carolina?
I don't remember.
Hold
on 1 second. I'm sorry. I actually have to go on mute for a second.
Blair Witch Project.
All right. So yeah, I think
I apologize for that.
I think it'd be interesting. Cardinals could come and surprise, but they're still just so bad.
Like,
what do you think, Chris?
I think their schedule is decently easy, minus some of the division games. Obviously, playing Seattle and San Francisco twice, so probably 4 losses. But they've got
no,
they don't have anyone. I look down their schedule and I see like 3 wins. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, Green Bay, they could probably beat Dallas because I hate Dallas, and they're gonna lose.
Well, you're looking at the preseason, all right? It doesn't matter. First of all, let's not. You're looking at the preseason.
So I just wanted to throw Dallas in there. So,
let's see. We could beat. Look, they're going to beat St. Louis.
Yeah.
They're going to win one of those 2 in New Orleans or Tampa. Am I looking at the right schedule here? Yeah. They're going to beat either New Orleans or Tampa Bay. They're going to beat Seattle once because Seattle's definitely going to take a step back this year. Their defense will be good, but their offense has nothing anymore. We'll get to them in a second. Jacksonville, come on. They're definitely going to beat them. Philadelphia is awful. Tennessee, like I said, we're already going to be. Yeah, they're going to get to 6 or 7 wins. I'm not sure which ones are going to happen, but it's going to happen.
3, 4, 5.
No.
I see 5 at the most.
So let me go through. St. Louis, they'll win. Who knows about Detroit?
All right, all right, hold on. Well, let's move on because I think
Oh,
you're on the on board and I barely push and then Chris says under. All right, let's
wait,
go on to St. Louis Rams
I thought it was
at
5.5.
7.5.
St.
It
Louis
is
Rams
5.5.
7.5.
All right, let's go on to Rams 7.5.
Under.
Under.
Well,
They're starting running back. What
Exactly.
Name a wide receiver that, I mean, name a tight end. Didn't they draft a wide receiver pretty high?
well, I hear
Yeah, Tavon Austin.
Yeah.
I
So
think St. Louis said they're going to do running back by committee.
Isaiah
They
Peters.
have
Who's the other guy? I forget. Richardson.
Richardson, yeah, he was a rookie last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
so
then
I
they
think
got-
those two are going to be splendidly.
Then they got Jared Cook. Yeah, no. They're going to win like 4 or 5 games. They're going to be the bottom of this division, so I would take the under on whatever it is. Arizona's going to be better.
The only thing I could see Cardinals winning and they're up against the Rams. All right. Nothing really interesting there. Let's go on to the Seattle Seahawks.
Under.
Stunner
What's
of
the
last
line?
season.
What's the line? The under.
10.5.
Give me the under. 8-8.
Well,
They're going
Mr.
8-8.
Percy Harvin. Chris loved Percy Harvin. I think Chris got dropped off, but man, that injury to Harvin's going to hurt him. Marshawn Lynch, he's still the main back. No one's really going to help support him.
Who are they going to throw to?
Yeah.
They have no one. Sidney Rice. Really?
They didn't really even have somebody to, yeah.
Let's read off their training camp wide receivers here, and this is a just awesome set. Doug Baldwin, Phil Bates, Archetto Clark, Chris Harper, Percy Harvin, we all know is out for a long time, Greg Hurd, Jermaine Kearse, Sidney Rice, Brett Swain, Golden Tate, Brian Walters, and Stephen Williams. Golden Tate's defining moment to this point in his career is he caught the, non-touchdown last year in the game that finally got us out of the hell that is known as the replacement refs. So,
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Russell Wilson. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a good scrambler and he's smart, but he just doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to. Robert Turbin's not going to be a good backup. He's probably going to get injured early on. Marshawn Lynch I don't know. I just don't see him being able to do it, but he's always surprised me. I just don't think that they're going to be as good as last year. I think they're going to be a middling, 7-9, 8-8, 9-8-7 at best.
Yeah, I agree. I would go under here, especially, Russell Wilson's second year. He's going to start questioning himself. I think it's just going to come down on him hard. Mm-hmm. So that means that 49ers are absolutely going to rock this division.
I believe in Jim Harbaugh. I love that coach. I remember a couple years ago, the first year that Stanford beat USC. Loved it. Got a friend that's a big USC fan, and I believe it was Andrew Luck's freshman year, and it was one of the biggest upsets in the history of college football because it actually had a line. It was like 40 some odd points, and Jim Harbaugh beat Pete Carroll, and Jim Harbaugh is going to continue to just beat Pete Carroll over and over again, and it's going to make me smile every time because I hate Pete Carroll. And so, Seattle's going 8-8. I think Seattle can go 12-4. I think they can run away with the division early. Sorry, thank you. San Francisco 12-4. What's their line? 10.5 games?
11.5.
Oof. I'll take the over, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I wish I had another half in there.
I know, but
let's get for the push for 11. Yeah, I mean, you take a guy that had 6 games total before he started in the Super Bowl. I mean,
Kaepernick.
Yeah, I think he's going to mature. I mean, he's obviously going to keep going up there. They just have some good things. The only problem is Michael Crabtree, but they've said they're hoping to have him back by December, which means that he would help make the playoff run. Yeah, I think that this team's going to just dominate this division.
Yeah, I think so. I think that defense is just stupid. Like it's ridiculous, and Harbaugh gets the best out of his quarterbacks. That's what he does. He just finds a way to find success. You find success. I mean, okay, Andrew Luck. Granted, that one's really easy to find success with, but Alex Smith, found success with him, turned Colin Kaepernick into, the wonder of the year last year. I believe they have the man Genius. That actually goes against them, but I think Eric Mangini is helping them out as an offensive consultant. If he is, that's actually a step backwards because I think yikes. But I really think San Francisco runs away with this division, and it's not close like everyone thinks it's going to be. I don't think Seattle's going to be that good.
But I think they have some interesting problems on defense that, with their free safety leaving Goldson, and then they got Asama coming to their team, and I know how Asama plays on teams. He was absolutely terrible on the Eagles.
He's really good on the West Coast, all right? You put him on the West Coast, he does just fine.
Oh, man.
Let me tell you what happens when people go to the Eagles. They suck. Just ask everyone that's ever played there ever.
Well, we definitely have not been good lately, so can't argue right now.
I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I feel bad for you. Let's just put it that way. That's how bad your team's been lately.
All right, well, I think that's it for today. We've broken down the NFC South and NFC West. We'll probably go to the AFC West and South next, and then swap over to the NFC again. So, but yeah, thanks for joining us. And you guys have any last words of things to say on NFC West or NFC South?
Draft Steven Jackson.
For your fantasy league, huh?
No,
I'm glad I have him in our keeper league then.
Is that your first round pick?
Apparently.
Your team is awful.
I know.
Awful.
Ask him who his round pick is.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Hey,
all right.
Robert Griffin III. Woo!
Yeah, maybe. All right, well, so Ryan, what's always our number one rule?
Don't gamble.
All right, this has been Rules of Gambling, Podcast 1. See you guys later.